So when we're looking at food and mood, we're often looking at managing hunger and managing cravings. And I've often been asked, what's the difference? Hunger gives you the signal you need to eat. And you might have a different signal. Some people say, I'm hungry, I've got a hunger headache. Others, their stomach starts to make a response. Others in the morning, your blood sugars are low and you're saying, ooh, I'm feeling a little wobbly. You need to know what those hunger signals are for you. And a good way to do that, I'm going to mention several times today, keep a journal. A hunger can be satisfied by any food. Yes, give me anything I need to eat. And you'll grab at anything when you're hungry. Craving is different. Craving is you
It's not
want
hungry.
something specific. I
Yeah.
had a friend that wanted Oreo cookies so bad that she walked 3 kilometers to the dépanneur to go and get Oreo cookies. So that is a specific craving for specific food. And so I explored that with her and I said, well, why? She said, I always would walk down to my aunt's house and she'd give me a glass of milk and an Oreo cookie. And she could trace it back to a beautiful memory. So she craved the feeling of being loved, the feeling of being taken care of, the craving of that particular food brought to her that psychological feeling. So sometimes there's a craving, could be have a biological or a psychological. And I've just given you a psychological reason for a craving. A biological one is like, I'm feeling my body needs spinach. And that might be biologically driven. If we took a blood test, maybe at that very moment in time, you may be experiencing lower levels of a particular nutrient. So there are biological reasons for cravings, but hunger, so it's being able to sort it out. Am I really craving this, or is it just hunger? And hunger is satisfied with just any food. You come down for your first meal of the day, and what is it you want? You want egg, you want cereal, you want spinach, you want peanut butter, what it is that you need to have. Because we know with that first meal sets the day. So that's satisfying hunger. But you might satisfy your hunger with a craving. I'm craving buckwheat pancakes. And because that craving came to you from a memory of a childhood memory, but you can satisfy your hunger with a craving.
But you can also have craving that comes from some sort of addiction, and let's talk about again sugar, but alcohol and so on. There is spicy craving, and
That's a whole lecture.
Psychologically craving also, right?
Right. So that's why I said the psychological craving could be alcohol, or we don't have any biological needs for alcohol.
No.
Although in resveratrol, in our red wine, which you could get in red grapes, there are some biological needs to have that resveratrol in our nutritional intake.
Yeah, the resveratrol itself can be without alcohol, however.
But as we get into looking at that craving, yes, that's another whole nother, and because I started and I said, we have 2 lectures in one. So trying to stick at what your mood is driving you to take. Something you need or something you want based on where you are at that moment. You've just spent 2 hours working on a project and you're, I'm beat. So now you're not hungry, but you want some sort of psychological relief, and you may search to food. I'm so blessed that this apple takes me back to that psychological relief of being with my grandfather, feeling safe, being in nature, that I can grab this and that takes me to a beautiful place. So I think it's finding those foods that will take you to a beautiful place that are healthy. So, as we talked about food cravings, which ties in with our mood, every craving begins with a cue. And so what we're doing is trying to rewire the brain. And rewiring it is going down, 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 finding what that connection is. Why do I want those chips? Going back, was that a time where you were with someone? On and on and on. So you rewire, giving the brain a new craving. We know that dopamine is released immediately with the cue, and with 30 minutes, where our pleasure center and you're going to get that feel good. For example, chocolate is something that someone might crave. It's not going to satisfy, it will satisfy hunger. So it's choosing good chocolate that will help you. I know the Cadbury bars are yummy, 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 especially you open it up now that gooey caramel runs out. But no, and that's going to give you that high in your brain and that feel good experience. But you can rewire by taking a little square of dark, dark chocolate, which is good for you, that will also begin to release that feel good experience in the brain. So knowing that hunger and cravings can get confused, and being able to sort it out. And you might need a health coach, someone to help you sort that out. Or you can begin to journal yourself and ask those questions that we talked about earlier. What is it? Where did it come from? Who was I with?
We have you, Dr. Suzanne. We don't need another health coach. We have you. Isn't that
Yeah.
great?
So the other thing with cravings is that sometimes you don't feel full, and anybody that's taking diet drinks, using any of those artificial sweeteners that are in all kinds of processed foods, that interferes with the cue of feeling full. So someone said, well, how could I eat a whole bag of chips? Because it's full of all that artificial sweeteners, flavor enhancers, and that interferes with the brain's ability to say, done, you're full, you've reached the point of being full. So it takes at least 12 minutes, they found in research, before the brain says, okay, you're full. One of the things that parents do that really is not helpful to kids, they give them too much food on their plate and they make them clean their plate. And sometimes they're full and they don't need to clean their plate, but they're being forced to. So my suggestion to parents, give smaller portions to your children so that they clean it up and let them wait. Sometimes we eat so quickly, it takes a while. You're still eating, but your body has already had more than it needs. So then you get these huge feeling of being full and, oh, I ate too much and I'm not comfortable. We're coming into the holiday season where more heart attacks take place after a big holiday meal than at any other time of year because it's high fat. People eat more than they usually do. And so they're eating all of those sugar, fat, and salt. And there's a wonderful book that was written by an investigative journalist called Sugar, Fat, and Salt. And these have the greatest impact on our brain and gut. These have the greatest impact on how we feel and what mood we're in. So the key is not that you crave sugar, fat, and salt. The key is respond to that natural body need by getting the right sugar, the right fat, and the right amount of salt. Not eliminating, but getting the right ones.
Rewiring.
So if you're a person that likes crunchy foods can mean that you're wanting to relieve tension or anger. And you don't have to have popcorn or chips. Have celery, raw carrots, broccoli, crunch, 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 maybe some nuts, things that will satisfy that crunchy need, So that's an important way. So relieve your tension with crunchy foods, but it's also a sign that you might have tension. Salty foods. We need salt. Our body is, we're sea. We're an ocean inside of us. Now that is linked to hydration, and that is key. So if you're seeking salty foods, take a drink of water first. See if you're maybe needing it. Usually you don't need salty foods because salt is in so many foods naturally. But if you're craving it, let's look at what is the psychological desire for salty foods.
And there is also a bad impact of having too much salt, as well as a bad impact of having too much sugar.
Yes, all of these have a bad impact. That's why I pointed out earlier, we need sugar, fat, and salts. We need that, but we need the good ones.
Right.
So it's being able to think about crunchy foods. Okay, let me put some celery sticks in there. Let me chew on a crunchy apple. I like that. Makes me feel good. Salty foods, as I said, are linked to your levels of hydration. Drink water. You may need that at that point. Sugars. Sugar, if you're seeking out sugar, maybe you're lacking energy. You've gone down through, we go through waves. We eat high glycemic foods, and that's another lecture. So let's save that for another time. But sugar, if that's what you're looking for, energy, find a good, safe sugar. As I said, things like maple syrup, they have a lot of other wonderful properties. Maybe take, like I like to do, is a little bit of a nut butter, mix it with some honey, and I've gotten my sugar high, but it's balanced with the protein. So looking at, you need energy. If that's what you're craving, then okay, let's find a way to do that. Dairy, we crave dairy. And why the dairy industry has built on that? Because it was our first food. And we are right now the only species that continues to drink the milk from another species into adulthood. So dairy, you want to really eliminate that. But if you're craving it, looking at the whys of the cravings. And how can you substitute so that you get the same feeling for dairy? The other day, for example, I had desire for a hot chocolate. It was we had a cold wave that came through, and I was chill. So I had my almond milk, my cocoa, a little bit of honey, and they took me back to a wonderful memory of being with my brother, and he was showing me the ice skate, and we came in that day, and someone had fixed hot chocolate. I don't know if it was my aunt or whoever. So dairy, and again, you're going back to a memory of that. That's why it impacts your mood. Fats, we might want fatty foods, and fatty foods we need. Our fats play a tremendous role in our brain's ability to function, plays a huge role in protecting our organs. We want to cocoon with fatty foods. It's a time when you just want to get all wrapped up and just stay in your environment with fatty foods, and you feel safe. So that's why fast foods with French fries, fatty foods on the run, give you a false sense of safety. This cocooning, being safe, and being so it has that impact that's different. So when we look at that addiction cycle, I'm not going to stay a lot on this because that's another lecture altogether, is that we look at addiction, and sometimes there's a stress that triggers that need for a food. It's just a cycle. You can jump in at any point in time. You've had metabolism that is not as efficient as it needs to be, especially with glucose and insulin, and then you end up with disordered eating. Perhaps you have cravings, and as I said to you, I reward myself with an apple. Figuring out what are you rewarding yourself with. The learned addiction.
Wait, I have one question. Insulin help us to metabolize sugar, is it?
Absolutely. Insulin is the little buddy that goes along with sugar. You take in some sugar. I'm going to take sugar with this apple. And my pancreas goes, insulin. Okay. So sugar we need this sugar. My brain needs it, but it can't get into a cell unless I've got insulin. So insulin is the buddy that you got a sugar and insulin, and it says, okay, goes knocking on the cell. Can I come in? And sugar can't get in, but now you got insulin with you. Yes, you can.
Is it a catalyst?
It's a catalyst. It's the key to letting you in. And so, yes, you need that. And it's managing it. That's the key to well-being and key to your mood, because when you don't manage it, you're crashed. So as I said that, we'll look at this in another lecture. I cannot talk about food and mood without talking about neurotoxins. And as a person that work with special needs population, acting out youth and children, knowing that neurotoxins are in the foods that are impacting our behavior, our neurological system. These are eating them, the MSG, artificial sweeteners, flavors, colors, preservatives, texture enhancers. Eating these create unnatural appetites that can never be satisfied. They also can create damage to the myelin lining, to our nerves. Our nerves are like an electrical wire that's got a protective coating, and all of these things can interfere with that protective coating and cause short circuiting. So we're beginning to do a lot of research around these neurotoxins. For example, this is just one food additive that is in used a lot in breads and, well, here it's used in bread to strengthen the dough. It's an emulsifier for salad dressings, peanut butter. If you're not getting the natural only peanut butter, you're going to find this in that stuff. In ice cream, coffee whiteners, baby formulas. It's an emulsifier. It's often derived from a genetically modified soybean oil. There's limited research on this additive, none on genetic intolerance or long-term effects, and the European Common Market deemed it lacked research and shouldn't be used. Guess what? It's used in products here. I took this off of a loaf of bread, and it's also on a very popular cracker here in Canada, also in North America. I had the students look it up and they said, Miss, we shouldn't be eating this stuff. I said, no, this is why I wanted you to see this is just one. Perhaps, and there's another lecture on label reading.
Yes.
So
just specify what are the direct impact of that product on the health. What is the direct impact on that?
They have, this is the problem, Dr. Tessier, is that there's limited research. They just add it in because it works, and no one said, oh, it's causing heart attacks, or no one has said anything.
What do
There's
you
limited research on this additive. Additives can be put in foods without any research.
But what do you suspect it does?
I have no idea, because I'm not going to speculate. I'm a research-based person, so I will not speculate. But I'm speculating that you put something into an ingredient to, it's going to impact, the body is going to say, that's not food, that's a chemical. So that chemical hangs out in your body, in your fat cells. That's where we store it. So you could be carrying this diacetyl tartaric acid datum around in your body for years because your body is not getting rid of it.
Right.
And we don't know the long-term effects. So what I'm saying is that processed foods, maybe it's affecting your mood. We don't know. There's so
to
much.
be researched.
Yes, and that's why the European Common Market said, we're not so sure. So you need to really eliminate some key foods, those artificial sweeteners, aspartame, sucralose, any of that stuff. Remember that you want to get rid of high fructose corn syrup, hydrogenated oils, flavor enhancers, foods that have dyes. Check the numbers. You can, the yellow 4 and 5s, I mean, they're just really not good and impacting how you behave. There's some ideas of what's in there. You see this coffee mate stuff. The colors.
Yes. And they are so, that is the strange thing I discovered, that they're not even telling the name of the color. They are mentioning a number. This is what I discovered a few years ago.
Yeah.
Color number 4, color number 5, powder. Yeah. You don't even go to color. They are telling you are using powder number 5. They discovered that in Tim Horton, not to mention it, that the coffee that we're drinking is not even coffee. It's a powder, and it has a number, powder number 4. And that's it. This is what it contains. I was just astonished to understand that they are not having any coffee trace in it, but it tastes like. So this is flavor, this is color, this is smell, but no coffee. So
just a good point that you're making is that our mood is impacted by all of this artificial stuff. And that becomes for me a roadblock to my meditation, a roadblock to my mind being open to the energy that's naturally comes to us through the universe. Naturally, good energy comes, And if we have all these roadblocks, it's saying, hey, I can't get in, I can't get in. Get rid of it. And the energy will come in and you will be on a beautiful road to develop your spiritual energy and your awareness. The other thing that impacts your mood is your water is critical to your mood and behavior. The first thing I ask a client is, how much water do you drink? And they say, oh, well, not enough. And they're drinking more coffee than water. So water deprivation can cause cravings. It can cause feelings of hunger. It can cause you to be cranky. It's critical to your mood and behavior. We need it for clear thinking. And it's not for naught that they try to, you go into a room where they're doing a think tank, that there are lots of pitchers of water there. And in some think tanks, I remember Bill Gates, no coffee could be served, it only could be water. So all of our organs need water. Water is so important to the body that before you do anything to eat, to satisfy a feeling or a mood, please drink water. In the morning, drink water before you have tea or caffeine of any kind. Drink water before you eat your lunch. Get the hydration into your body and you will think clearer. You will be able to feel better. Hydration is the key to having our body organs and tissues functioning as it should. Water, we know the research that was done at University of Connecticut, that the mild dehydration, only 1%, and this is done clinically, that the mood can be altered. People were saying they weren't able to concentrate. They were given tasks to do while they were dehydrated. They couldn't do it. They hydrate them, and then they can do the test. They did a crossover study. Many people that were only 1% dehydrated had headaches and felt irritable. So the first thing I say, how much water do you drink? Even people that suffer from migraines, and we know that that's a whole specialty dealing with cardiovascular and vascular tensions, etc., in the back and neck, that even with water, there's a relief in terms of that discomfort. So I will hydrate as I'm talking to you. Every hour I should be having about a glass. So one of the most wonderful and pioneer of researchers on stress was Dr. Hans Selke from here in Montreal. As you know, he's just an amazing person. That our body needs balance, and we have to control that cortisol. And most of half of the stress we have in our lives, we have no control over. So when we look at the LOC, or the locus of control, nothing we can do. Nothing we can do about the weather. So snow is going to create a stress in terms of driving, managing it, etc. No control over that. So there's some stress we have no control over. But you look out and you say, oh, the cortisol levels go up because you're stressed about thinking about the drive on that snowy road. Maybe you look out and see the snow and all the happy hormones kick in because you say, yay, I can ski. So stress is perception, and the control may be within you. So, for example, maybe I have a fear of public speaking. Well, if that's my fear, then maybe I better not go into a profession to be a lawyer that requires me to do public speaking. So you're going to choose uh, behaviors to enter into that are not going to cause you stress. But most of the stress you encounter are things you don't control. So that puts you into a mood. And the controlling or managing stress, people say eliminate stress. No, you cannot eliminate it. Living is stress and you manage it. And it's critical because chronic stress, unresolved and unmanaged, that's what I say. I don't say unresolved, is unmanaged, prematurely will age every one of your vital organs. So we know it shrinks the brain, ages the heart, weakens bones, makes us sick, makes us fat because we'll eat, leads to diabetes. It's bad for the gut. Suppresses our sleep and suppresses our sexual activities. So stress impacts so many parts of our being every day, and it's managing it. And the food and the mood that we're in is going to depend on how it impacts every one of those. Stress does not have to make us fat. It can if we eat the wrong ones. So just thought I'd give you some emergency stress relief boosters. And keep this in mind. Of course, drink water first. And often that's what happens. You calm down, you've been in an accident. Two women were in an accident the other day at the corner down here. I don't know what caused it. The one woman was just, I said, okay, put my hands, take a deep breath, take a deep breath. Went to my car, gave each of the ladies a bottle of water because right away, everything is going on in the body and it's to calm that down. They were in a stressful situation. Hopefully when they went home, they were able to choose a food, a healthy food of your choice. And this is where I want you to food journal. Find a healthy food that you know is your go-to food that will relieve some of the stress response in your body. Figure it out. What is it? Chewing gum is a great way to relieve stress. And I suggest that even maybe before choosing a food, if you can chew gum, that's a great stress reliever. So choose a healthy stress food. Like I take my 4 ounces of dark chocolate if I'm really feeling like, okay, I'm done. I just finished this project. I deserve something. My go-to food is going to be 4 ounces of dark chocolate, or it's going to be an apple. If I'm needing a stress booster that gives me warmth, I go for green tea or some black tea, any kind of tisane, a brewed coffee, something that maybe it's a chamomile tea that is something that, but you have to figure it out. You have to figure out, what does that bring me to? When I just said chamomile tea, I thought of my Aunt Alice. That was her, obviously, go-to now stress reliever. So these are just some emergency things that you can do to boost your mood. And I would suggest that you find what is good for you that's healthy choice. So I'm going to give you some of those healthy choices, and they're superfoods. And what denotes or defines a superfood? It's a food that's nutritionally dense. It contains nutrients required for optimal health. They're nutrients that have been researched through a gold standard process. For example, they've looked at the polyphenols in a particular food. We know that that research is done by a gold standard process, and that someone of great caliber in terms of research, like Dr. Beliveau and Dr. Gingras, who have done amazing research on nutrients, have looked at. We know that their research shows that the food is designed specifically for a part of the body. And interestingly enough, they come from our great spirit, our creator, natural pharmacy. It's their naturalness that makes it so powerful. And it's so simple. It's so simple. It's not complicated. Is there any more less complication than an apple? It's amazing. So let's take a look at some of the superfoods. These are the ones that have been a lot of research done on berries and spinach and salmon. And of course, it's got to be wild and organic. Spinach, greens, that whole family. Nuts and almonds, olive oils, broccoli. All of these, there's good research that demonstrates they're powerful superfoods. So I would ask you, as you're developing your food journal and your food journey, looking at foods from a perspective of helping you develop your spiritual side, looking at what foods do I want to incorporate? Nuts. Okay, there's some almonds, and I could mix almonds with raisins or figs, and that would be a good way that I get a superfood, something healthy, and something good for my body. Or maybe I'm going to go to the broccoli. And when I say broccoli, you can look at the broccoli family of foods. That's cruciferous, could be cauliflower, could be Brussels sprouts, could be cabbage. So those are the superfoods. Reaching toward these each day, saying, have I had a superfood? Maybe you want an avocado on a whole grain, gluten-free piece of toast. Do you want to have olive oil drizzled on a fresh slice of tomatoes? Do you have beans and lentils cooked and mixed with wonderful spices? Did you drink a soy milk with spices like cinnamon and turmeric? So combining those foods really are great also when we begin to look at nutrient-dense foods that will impact your mood. I just want to show you the power of foods. Dr. Bernard Gesch, he was the director of the charity Natural Justice. And he worked with prisoners. And there were two control groups of prison inmates. One group was given the usual food, and another group, 5 fresh fruits, vegetables, and supplements of vitamins, minerals, and omegas. And the control group ate prison food and were given placebo supplements. Over 1/3, 35% decrease in aggressive acts of the group that ate fresh diet. Powerful impact. We know aggressive behavior can have a physical structure. There might be a damage done to a frontal lobe. So we don't know whether that comes into play, why not everyone. But I think that this is important, that there's a diminish in aggressivity. I know there's another research that was done by Dr. Antoinette Dimas from Cornell, And she found that working with acting out youth and put them on a program of eating fruits, vegetables, and no dairy, and another group, the regular food, and then switch the groups a month later. And they were put through a questionnaire. Again, those that were eating the fresh fruits and vegetables in their diet succeeded in terms of their schoolwork, their behaviors, acting out behaviors diminished. So we know the power of fresh foods. So there is some food synergy too, as I talked about, that's important. For example, let's say you have a salad and a spinach salad. It's iron rich and with kale. You want to make sure you've got some lemon juice that will help the absorption of the iron in that vegetable. So we know that we need vitamin C plus the iron rich food to increase that iron absorption. Again, this is interesting. To get the vitamins released from the vegetables that you've taken in, we need a healthy fat. So an almond oil, a walnut oil, an olive oil, plus your veggie increases that absorption. So there's synergy in how you combine foods. I took a whole course on food combinations and how that impacts what you're pulling out of the food as you're eating it, as it goes into your body and being absorbed. So there are some natural things that you can protect your brain, and the brain is a part of that brain gut connection we talked about last time, that really that brain gut connection is powerful. And the things that we can protect using a particular spice, turmeric, foods, all your leafy green foods will have natural protection. And you're protecting your brain, you're protecting your mood. You're able to be much more mindful and aware and alert and sensitive to what's happening in your environment and in your world. So there are foods that can protect our myelin linings. There are foods that can protect our brain. And these are powerful foods that come to us naturally. There are foods that we can eat if we tend to feel a bit depressed. A couple weeks ago, there was a major election taking place just to our neighbors to the south. And I knew that I was beginning to get really anxious and a bit depressed about what was going on.
Me too.
And I ate my way. I said, I can't believe I got out the walnuts. I had to put those out, sliced tomatoes, had tomato and avocado with a little bit of olive oil. I went through a package of leafy greens, and then I went to a friend that has a tower garden, and we got lettuce and greens off of that. I cooked up some lentils. I knew I needed that, and of course, I went through some apples. So if you know that this is beginning to happen, there are some things that you can do naturally that will keep you from going down the dark hole. And it allows you to even develop language that's much more positive. I find myself saying, well, we must have hope. And these are lessons. And I was using hopeful language. And it's being mindful of that we have tools to help us during that time. So natural protection for depression is available to us. Simple, they're there for you, and it's amazing that I made an onion soup. I chopped up onions and caramelized them and said, okay, ooh, this feels good. It helps knowing that I'm giving my body good nutrition, not running to the produce manufactured crunchies that are going to sink me greater into depression. We know we need some other, and this is critical, omegas. And I can't tell you enough how important flax oil is, or flax seeds. I don't know if you have access to sardines. Some people don't like it, but it's good. Again, salmon is part of those 16 superfoods. And again, chia seeds and almonds, a great source of omega-3s for you to be able to manage moods that impact how you relate to others and how you relate to your world. So in conclusion, I really want you to keep a food diary. And if you were one of my clients, I would ask you to do this. What am I feeling? When did this start? What's my energy level? What food did I eat? How did I combine my foods? My acid alkaline balance. And I do that with students that they take the little pH strips and begin to look at what is their acid alkaline balance, because that can impact your mood also. And did I drink enough water? So keep that in mind, is a good food journal. Why am I feeling this way? What did I eat? What didn't I eat? Integrate those 16 superfoods in that earlier slide. Every day, you need to have some of those superfoods. Choose those that respond to your energy. If you can't eat almonds, find something that does. Be so grateful that we have been given natural, healthy foods that can help us manage our moods every day, every minute of the day. Find exercise. They didn't talk about exercise because we're focusing on food and mood, but exercise and movement that you enjoy. Maybe you enjoy 10 minutes of stretching with the Tai Chi. Maybe you enjoy yoga. Maybe you enjoy a 15-minute walk. Maybe you enjoy going to the gym. Figure it out, but find something that helps you move, that's a part of your daily routine. It doesn't have to be a big chunk of your day, but exercise just integrated in. Like after this, I'm going to do a 15-minute, I'll go on my computer and do a Tai Chi routine, just to help me from the sitting and everything else. And please, please keep a journal. That will give you the key to unraveling what am I eating? Why am I eating that? How is it impacting how I feel? Is it allowing me to meditate? Is it allowing me to be able to connect to spirit? Remember, your body's designed so magically, I'm so in awe when I look at the research, and it's designed with an instruction manual. Each cell knows what it's supposed to do. Every liver cell knows what it's supposed to do. The pancreas cells know. The insula knows when to do this. It's there. So you need to give it the foods that will support the natural healing capability. You need to use the natural healers in your life before you look to unnatural ways of healing. So nurture your mood with mindful eating, knowing that you're unique and what you need is different than what the next person needs. nurture your mood so that you feel lighter and connected and create those pathways to spiritual development. So I thank you for letting me be on your spiritual journey to spiritual growth, good health, and honoring the Creator. Thank you.
It is fantastic.
Is it an hour and
Fantastic.
a half?
I am in a
Oh my
fantastic,
gosh.
yes, I am in a fantastic mood after that lecture. I can't believe, my God, and I'm hungry also.
I am
Talking about
too. I'm
food.
ready to have this.
Yes, right. Wow, my God, you are teasing us with that apple. Dr. Suzanne, that was again a
It's so
fantastic,
good.
it feels good, huh? So, Dr. Suzanne, after all, you're eating this apple you're talking about for so long during this presentation. I hope you enjoyed the apple, but we enjoyed that lecture. And we thank you so very much for this wisdom. Thank you very much. We enjoyed that lecture a lot. And we'll see you very soon again. Have a
Okay.
blessed apple. Thank you.
Thank you. It's
And
so good.
see you. Goodbye.